Dear beautiful souls, and welcome to Pain to Power. I'm your host, Jill Ripley. In today's episode, we're talking about trust, what it means to stop chasing outcomes, become comfortable with not knowing, and learn how to feel safe, even when life is in a constant state of change. This is a conversation about letting life evolve naturally to meet you where you are, instead of trying to force it into the shape you've been told that it should be. We've been taught to live in a world that rewards hustle. The world around us says that in order to get ahead, we must push harder, do more, do it fast, and at all costs, control the outcome. And if things aren't working, well, you must not be trying harder. That message is everywhere. And for a long time, I believed it too. I believed that success had to be chased, that security had to be earned through effort and vigilance, that peace came after everything was figured out. But somewhere along the way, and I can't point to a single moment, something shifted for me. I finally realized that when I stopped chasing, things tend to work out. Let me be very clear about what I don't mean here. This isn't about sitting back and waiting for life to magically hand you everything. It's not about disengaging from responsibility. And it's definitely not about pretending that effort doesn't matter. I still show up. I still take action. I still care deeply about my work, my relationships, and my growth. What's changed for me, though, is my relationship with uncertainty. I no longer feel the same urgency to hunt for proof that everything will be okay. I've learned to loosen my grip instead of trying to force outcomes out of fear. And I've discovered that when I do, life doesn't fall apart. It opens up to a world of possibilities that I could not have possibly imagined. I move with life more easily now, not against it. And that has changed everything. One of the hardest lessons that I've learned, and one of the most freeing, is learning to be comfortable with not knowing. The only constant in life is change. We can pretend otherwise. We can cling to our routines, identities, plans, and timelines. But life is always moving. And for many of us, especially those who've experienced trauma, change feels unsafe because uncertainty once meant danger. Instability once meant loss. Not knowing once meant pain. So, of course, we learn to control, to predict, to brace for impact. That wasn't weakness, that was survival. But survival strategies don't always translate into peaceful living. And at some point, I realized something quite profound. I was exhausted from trying to feel certain in an uncertain world. Trying to control the outcome of everything only served to cause me internal anxiety and put a strain on my external relationships. So instead of chasing certainty, I'm practicing becoming comfortable with flux. There's this idea that once we arrive, once we heal enough, succeed enough, figure it all out, then life will finally settle. But that moment never actually comes. Life doesn't stabilize. Life is always evolving. And when I relax into that truth, I started to feel a deep sense of relief. I've gotten so much better at not needing to know what is coming next. When I look back on my life, one thing is very clear. The circumstances have often been tumultuous. There were seasons that felt chaotic, painful, unfair, disorienting. Moments where, if I'm honest, I thought, why does it always have to be so hard? There were times in my life when the weight felt unbearable, when continuing on almost felt impossible. I don't really know where the strength to continue came from, honestly, but looking back, I can now see how every difficult chapter shaped me. not by breaking me, but by expanding me. The woman I am today, the clarity that I have, the depth that I carry, the compassion that I can offer, none of that came from the easy season. It came from the moments I wouldn't have chosen, and I learned from them anyway. And when I look at my life now, I can say this with sincerity. I have a beautiful life, not a perfect one, not a pain-free one, but a meaningful one. I'm not naive. I know there will be challenging times ahead again. That's not pessimism, that's honesty. Life is constantly in motion, it ebbs and flows. This is the natural rhythm of nature and reality. Loss will come, change will come, disappointment may come, but fear doesn't have to be the driver of our actions. We have the choice to decide how we respond to every experience that unfolds in our reality. Being able to recognize that life is not happening to us, it's shaping us, is one of the most empowering concepts that you can internalize. Understanding that the challenges you're facing right now are shaping future moments of strength, wisdom, and fortitude. That's life changing. And those future challenges, they will mold and shape us too. Not because pain feels good, but because growth is possible if we allow it. That's the key. Hard seasons don't automatically become blessings. They become blessings when we stop resisting the lesson. When we stop asking, why is this happening to me? We step out of the story of punishment and into the space of meaning. That question is a natural one. It usually comes from pain, fear, or shock. It's the mind trying to regain control, trying to make sense of something that feels overwhelming or unfair. But if we stay there too long, that question can quietly turn into blame, blame of ourselves, blame of others, or blame of life itself. When we begin asking instead, what is this asking of me? The energy shifts. Now we're no longer assuming something has gone wrong. We're listening instead of resisting. We're opening to the possibility that even this moment, however uncomfortable, has something to teach us. That question doesn't demand immediate answers. It doesn't rush the process, and it doesn't bypass the pain. It simply invites us into relationship with the experience. What is this asking of me to release? What is this asking of me to strengthen? What boundary, truth, or part of myself is being called forward? Sometimes the answer is rest. Sometimes it's courage. Sometimes it's letting go. And sometimes it's simply compassion for ourselves in the middle of something hard. This shift doesn't mean we suddenly feel grateful for what hurts. It means we stop fighting the moment long enough to hear what it's asking of us. And in that listening, growth becomes possible. And openness, not control, is where trust lives. If you're listening to this right now and you're in a season of not knowing, if your life feels unsettled, if plans have fallen apart, if clarity feels just out of reach, I want you to hear this. Not knowing does not mean you're failing. It doesn't mean you're behind, and it doesn't mean something has gone wrong. Sometimes not knowing is simply the space where something new is taking shape. It may mean life is rearranging you gently or abruptly, the same way it always has. The seasons that confuse us often soften us. They strip away what no longer fits. They invite us to let go of versions of ourselves we've outgrown, even when we didn't realize that we had. Uncertainty has a way of reshaping our priorities, of clarifying what actually matters, of teaching us resilience, flexibility, and trust in ways comfort never could. Looking back, many of the moments that felt like pitfalls were actually quiet redirections. They led to deeper self awareness, stronger boundaries, a more honest relationship with myself and with life. The goodness in these seasons isn't always obvious while we're inside them. Sometimes it only reveals itself in hindsight, once we see who we've become because of what we've lived through. So if you find yourself in a place of not knowing right now, try not to rush your way out of it. You may be in the middle of becoming someone more aligned, more grounded, and more true to yourself than you were before. Life has done this for you before, and it knows how to do it again. You might take a moment to reflect on this. Think back on a time in your life that felt unbearable, but ultimately shaped you in a way that you're grateful for. Not because it was easy, but because it made you more you. If life met you there, what makes you think it won't meet you again? I've made it more of a priority in my life not to chase success, happiness, or certainty. I've learned to be more trusting. I trust that when I show up honestly, life responds. I trust that I don't need to see the whole path to take the next steps. I trust that even the hard chapters are working with me, not against me. And when I don't know what's coming next, I breathe, I bring myself back to the present moment, and I remind myself I've walked through uncertainty before, and I'm still here. So are you. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I invite you to stay connected. You can follow, like, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening, and share this episode with someone who might need to hear it right now. It truly helps this message reach the people it's meant for. If you'd like to support the show, there are ways to do that as well. And I'm deeply grateful for all your support that allows this space to continue growing. And if you're in a season of transition, healing, or not knowing, and you'd like more personal support, I do offer private coaching. This is a space for gentle guidance, deeper self trust, and learning how to move through change with more clarity and compassion. You'll find all the links in the show notes. Thank you for being here, for doing the work, and for trusting yourself enough to listen. Until next time, beautiful souls, be gentle with yourself. And remember, you don't have to chase your life. You're allowed to trust it.